We will now practice more on factoring trinomials in this lesson. Alright, you remember the method we developed in factoring trinomials. Alright, let's start with this. Factor 7r squared plus 8r plus 1. Can you factor that quickly? This is very simple. You can see 7 plus 1 is 8. Look at the middle term. Now, why did I say 7 plus 1 equal to 8? It means the first term 7r squared will be factored as 7r times r. We will write them as usual side by side, 7r and r. And there is only one way to factor the positive 1. Why? Because the middle term is also positive. What is the way to factor a positive 1? Positive 1 is 1 multiplied by 1. So, because the last term is positive and the middle term also is positive, we will use 2 positive factors for the last term. That means positive 1 is factored as positive 1 times positive 1. We will write positive 1 below 7r and positive 1 below r. Now remember I told you 7 plus 1 equal to 8. Where did I get that 7 plus 1? Look at this. Multiply diagonally. 1 times 7r is 7r. And 1 times r is r. 7r plus 1r. That is what I said, 7 plus 1. 7r plus 1r equal to 8r, and that is the middle term. And now we are ready to pick our factors. What is the first factor? The first factor is 7r plus 1. What is the second factor? The second factor is r plus 1. Therefore, 7r squared plus 8r plus 1 equal to 7r plus 1 times r plus 1. So factoring trinomials now has become easy. Is that right? Well, there are some cases which need more thinking and more trials, like this one. Factor 20x squared plus 11x minus 3. Now, here you've got to do some trial and error. Alright, start by factoring the first term. 20x squared. There are several ways to factor 20x squared. Is that right? 10x and 2x, 5x and 4x are some ways of factoring 20x squared. Let's start with the middle type of factors. 20x squared is factored as 5x times 4x. Alright, let's write them side by side, 5x and 4x. Now, the moment I see this, the moment I write this, I will be looking at my middle term. I need to produce 11 in the middle. Now, look at the way my thinking goes. I see a 3 there. Now, I have a 5, a 4, then a 3. Now, look at the way I'm going to think. I'm going to say 5 times 3 is 15. And 15 minus 4 is 11. Now, what does that mean? It means I'm going to factor this negative 3 as a positive 3 and a negative 1. A negative 3, that negative 3, the last term, I'm going to factor as a positive 3 multiplied by negative 1. Now, remember what I told you? 3 times 5 is 15, minus 4 is 11. That means, tell me, where am I going to write this positive 3? this positive 3 will be written in such a way that that will get multiplied by 5x. So I will write positive 3 below 4x. There you are. I write the positive 3 below 4x and write the negative 1 below 5x. So that positive 3 times 5x. Positive 3 times 5x is 15x. And negative 1 times 4x is negative 4x. Adding the two, you get 15x added to negative 4x is 11x. Isn't that simple? There you are. And now we have done the test. All these are placed in their right positions. Pick your factors vertically. The first factor is 5x minus 1. That is your first factor. The second factor is 4x plus 3. And therefore 20x squared plus 11x minus 3 equal to 5x minus 1 times 4x plus 3. Now I hope you understand the way I argue it out. I factor the 20x squared as 5x times 4x. Then keeping the middle term in my mind, positive 11x, I factored that negative 3 as negative 1 times positive 3. And I wrote them in such a way that I multiplied 3 times 5x to give me 15x. And negative 1 times 4x to give me negative 4x. And adding the two gives me the positive 11x. And I picked the factors as 5x minus 1 times 4x plus 3. So factoring trinomials is actually simple, provided you think the right way. Let's do another one. Factor 48b squared minus 74b minus 10. Now remember I told you earlier on, the golden rule in factoring is before you attempt any other method, look for common factors. Is there a common factor you can find in all these three terms? Look at the numbers, 48, 74 and 10. Is there a common factor for those three terms? Yes, indeed. What is that common factor? 2. So first of all, factor that 2 out. 48b squared minus 74b minus 10 is 2 factored out, leaving a 24b squared minus 37b minus 5. Well, we now need to factor this trinomial, 24b squared minus 37b minus 5. Okay? How? We start by factoring 24b squared. Again, 24b squared can be factored as 6b times 4b, 8b times 3b, 12b times 2b. They're all possibilities. Well, we need to start trying one combination. So we will start by looking at 24b squared as 8b times 3b. Alright, write 8b and 3b as we normally do. What is the next thing? I need to factor negative 10. Well, because this number is a large number, remember the middle number. Why do you have to keep the middle number in your mind? Because once you write all the factors, multiplying diagonally and adding should give you the middle term. Is that right? Yes. So we need to produce a 74 when you multiply and add. So how will you factor that negative 10? Well, negative 10, well, not negative 10, we are on 5. We need to produce, the middle term is negative 37. Right? Okay. How do we produce that negative 37? Any idea? Well, write negative 5 below 3b and positive 1 below 8b. Let's see what happens. There you got. Why did I do that? So that we have negative 5 times 8b produces a negative 40b. Is that right? So negative 40 added to positive 3b will give us the negative 37b. You need to do this by trial and error. If one doesn't work, then you try the other possibility. So we factored the negative 5. A negative number can only be factored as a positive number times a negative number. So negative 5 is factored as negative 5 times positive 1. And where do I write the negative 5? Keeping in mind we need to produce a big negative number, I write the negative 5 so that it will get multiplied by 8b, giving me negative 40b. And positive 1 will multiply by 3b, giving me a positive 3b. Alright, let's do that. Negative 5 times 8b is negative 40b. And positive 1 times 3b is positive 3b. Adding them will give you negative 40b plus 3b is negative 37b. We got our middle term. That means these combinations we have chosen are right. So, what are the factors of this trinomial? The factors are, the first factor is 8b plus 1, and the second factor is 3b minus 5. And therefore, what is the complete factorization of this? That will be 2 times 8b plus 1 times 3b minus 5. Now, you learn this only when you take a problem and deal with this on your own. So do that in the homework. Do not look at my answers. First try and struggle with it. You see, struggling with the problem is a good sign. And ultimately when you win, you enjoy it. Right? Okay. Let's go and do another one. Factor 24a to the power 4 plus 10a cube minus 4a squared. Okay, what do you see here? First of all, you must see there is a common factor in all the 3 terms. What is that common factor? First of all, look at the numbers. 24, 10 and 4. What is the common factor for 24, 10 and 4? It is a 2. And then a to the power 4, a cube and a squared. What is the common factor in those 3 terms? That is a squared. So 2a squared is the common factor. And now, let's pull out the 2a squared. When 2a squared is pulled out of 24a to the power 4, what is left? What is left is 12a squared. That is the first term. When 2a squared is pulled out of 10a cube, what is left there is 5a. And when 2a squared is pulled out of, what's the sign? Negative 4a squared, what remains is a negative 2. Okay, I hope you are now thorough with this method of pulling out the common factor. Alright, now we have a trinomial, and that can be easily factored. Can you want to give it a try on your own? Alright, let's try here. The first term is 12a squared. How do we factor 12a squared? Always try the middle level factors. 12a squared is 4a times 3a. Now I start writing them side by side. 4a and 3a. What is the last term? Last term is negative 2. A negative number can be factored only as the product of one negative and the other positive. So, negative 2 is factored as positive 2 times negative 1. Now, why did I do that? Again, you notice I'm looking for a middle term of positive 5. Now, I know that I can produce a positive 5 like this. Look at this. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. So, look at the way I'm going to write this negative 1 below 4a, so that that negative 1 will multiply with 3a, giving you my negative 3a. And I will write the positive 2 below 3a, so that that 2 will multiply with 4a, giving me 8a. And 8a minus 3a will give me the middle term 5a. There you are. So, write positive 2 below 3a. You understand why I chose that. Positive 2 below 3a and negative 1 below 4a. And now we are ready to multiply diagonally and add to perform the test. Okay? Positive 2 times 4a is positive 8a. Negative 1 times 3a is negative 3a. And adding these two gives me 8a minus 3a equal to 5a. And that is the middle term. Once you have that, you know that your setup is right. What are therefore the factors? The first factor is 4a minus 1. And the second factor is 3a plus 2. So 12a squared plus 5a minus 2 is now factored as 4a minus 1 times 3a plus 2. And so the complete factorization of the given polynomial is 2a squared, that's the common factor we pulled out in the beginning, times the factoring of this trinomial is 4a minus 1 times 3a plus 2. Alright? Are you getting more comfortable with this? I hope so. Okay, let's try another one. Factor 18 plus 65x plus 7x squared. Do you find something funny the way I wrote it? Well, normally the term with x squared is the first term. Now here I wrote the constant term as the first term. Does it make any difference? Really not. Our first term here is 18, last term is 7x squared, and the middle term is 65x. Alright, let's start by factoring 18. First of all, did you check if there is any common factor? Well, don't forget to do that. But there are no common factors. Okay, let's start with the first term. 18. I factored it as 9 times 2. Remember, you can also factor it as 6 times 3 and so on. Try with one possibility. So, 18 is 9 times 2. Alright, let's write the 9 and 2 side by side. And now factor 7x squared. You see, all these are positive, so it doesn't cause a lot of problems. Now, how do we factor that 7x squared? I tell you the clue. The clue is you need to produce a 65 in the middle. And if you know the tables of 9, you know that 9 times 7 is 63. So look at the way I'm going to say, this is the 7 here. 9 times 7 is 63. So I'm going to expect a 7x here. Now, 63 plus 2 is 65. That gave me my clue to proceed with the problem. So how am I going to factor this term 7x squared? Is positive 7x times positive x. Alright, where am I going to write this 7x? Am I going to write it below 9 or below 2? Well, I cannot write it below 9 because if I write it below 9, that 7 is going to multiply with 2. That is not what we want. We want the 7 to multiply with 9 to produce 63, a big number. So we write 7x below, 7x below 2 and x below 9. I hope you understand the argument I am making here. Why? Multiplying 7x by 9 will give me 7x times 9 gives me 63x. And then x times 2 gives me 2x. And adding the 2, 63x plus 2x gives me 65x. And that is our middle term. Remember, always your guide is the middle term. And that is what should be driving you in the factoring the first term and the last term. So what are our factors here? The first factor is 9 plus x. That's right. The first factor is 9 plus x. And the second factor is 2 plus 7x. And remember, 9 plus x is the same as x plus 9. 2 plus 7x is the same as 7x plus 2. It doesn't make any difference when you write either way. Therefore, 18 plus 65x plus 7x squared is 9 plus x times 2 plus 7x. Okay, let's move on and try another one. Well, I even wrote it the other way around for you. 9 plus x is the same as x plus 9. 2 plus 7x is 7x plus 2. Okay, look at this one. Negative 18k cubed minus 48k squared plus 66k. Can you identify a common factor in there? First of all, look at the number. 18, 48, 66. What is the common factor in all that? What is the biggest common factor you can identify there? Can you see that as 6? Yes. 6 times 3 is 18. Is that right? 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 11 is 66. Well, so 6 is common. K cubed, k squared, k. There's a k common. Also, the first term is negative, the second term is negative. So why don't we factor out a negative factor, which will make it easy for us to deal with the remaining factor. So I'm going to factor out a negative 6k. There you are. Negative 6k is the common factor. Alright, can you tell me when negative 6k is pulled out of the first term, what is the remaining factor there? You see, negative 18 divided by negative 6 is positive 3. So what is remaining there is positive 3k squared. There you are. Negative 18k cubed. When you pull out a negative 6k, what is left is a 3k squared. I hope you understand that. From a negative number, you factor out a negative number. What left there will be a positive number. Or try multiplying this. Negative 6k multiplied by positive 3k squared is negative 18k cubed. Alright, so we wrote it like this. Negative 18k cubed is negative 6k times 3k squared. Now, similarly, negative 48k squared is the same as negative 6k times positive 8k. Is that right? And 66k. Alright? If you take out a negative 6k, what is left there is a negative 11. I hope you understand this. Negative 18k cubed is negative 6k times 3k squared. Negative 48k squared is negative 6k times positive 8k. And positive 66k is negative 6k multiplied by negative 11. Negative 6k multiplied by negative 11 is positive 66k. Alright, now we pulled out the negative 6k, leaving a 3k squared plus 8k minus 11 inside the parenthesis. Okay? We need to now factor this 3k squared plus 8k minus 11. And there is a clue right there. What is the clue? Now, this is the clue I use. 11 minus 3 equal to 8. That is the clue. And so, let's go and factor the first term. 3k squared is 3k times k. And negative 11. Remember, a negative number has to be factored as a positive number times a negative number. So how are you going to factor negative 11? It can be either negative 11 times positive 1 or positive 11 times negative 1. How do you know which one to choose? Well, because we need to get a positive 8k, I need to factor negative 11 as positive 11 times negative 1. First, let's write 3k and 3k as we normally do. And now, factor negative 11 as positive 11 times negative 1. Alright, now the question is, where do we write this positive 11? Do we write it below 3k or below k? That's the reason why I gave you the clue before. What was the clue I gave you? The clue I gave you is 11 minus 3 equal to 8. That means I need to produce positive 11k and then minus 3k. That means I need to get a negative 3k. To get a negative 3k, this negative 1 should be written here so that they will multiply. And the positive 11 should be below 3k so that when I multiply, I get positive 11k this way and negative 3k this way. Alright? So write positive 11 below 3k and negative 1 below k. What do we get when you multiply diagonally? Negative 1 times 3k is negative 3k. You see how we produce that negative 3k. And 11 times k is 11k. Add the two together. Look at this. 11k minus 3k is 8k. Well, I've got the wrong polynomial here. You see, I should have written the correct one, which is, you remember what that is from the earlier one? Well, this is the polynomial we are working with, which is 3k squared plus 8k minus 11. 3k squared plus 8k minus 11. That is the polynomial we are working with. 3k squared plus 8k minus 11. So make a correction there. Okay. Now, you remember I started giving you the clue 11 minus 3 equal to 8? Well, this is the clue. 11k minus 3k equal to 8k. So adding gives me 8k, which is the middle term of our trinomial. So the first factor is 3k plus 11. And the second factor is k minus 11. And therefore, negative 18k cubed minus 48k squared plus 66k. You remember we factored out the negative 6k out, and the remaining trinomial is factored as 3k plus 11 times k minus 1. Okay? Alright. It is good to go back and look at this one more time so that you feel confident in doing problems like this. Let's try another one. 12k cubed q to the power of 4 minus 4k squared q to the power of 5 minus k q to the power of 6. Look for common factors first. Can you identify a common factor in these three terms? Look at the numbers first. 12, 4, the number here is 1. So there is no common factors among the numbers. K cubed, k squared, k. Yes, there is a common factor there, that is k. Q to the power of 4, q to the power of 5, q to the power of 6. What is the common factor there? Q to the power of 4, q to the power of 5, q to the power of 6. The common factor is the one that has the lowest power. Q to the power of 4 is the common factor. That means k q to the power of 4 is the common factor. Alright? Now, let's write that with the common factor. K q to the power of 4. When k q to the power of 4 is pulled out of the first term, leaving a 12k squared in the first term. Is that right? Okay. And now, from the second term, we pulled out a k q to the power of 4. What is left there is a minus 4k cubed. There you are. From the last term, we pulled out a k q to the power of 4, leaving a minus q squared. Alright? We now factor the trinomial 12k squared minus 4k cubed minus q squared. And how will you factor that? We now factor inside the parenthesis. 12k squared is 6k times 2k. Alright, the moment you do this, light begins to show. How? You need to get the middle term, and forgetting the sign, you need to get a 4. And you know a 4 can be obtained as 6 minus 2. Alright, let's first of all write 6k and 2k. Well, what we need is a negative 4k cubed. Is that right? A negative 4k cubed. That means negative q squared. Alright, give me the factors of negative q squared. There is only one way to do that. What is that? A positive q and a negative q. So negative q squared is a positive q times a negative q. Now the question is, where do I write this positive q? Do I write it below the 6k or below the 2k? Well, the clue is, look at the middle term. When you multiply and add, you must get negative 4k cubed. That means the bigger number must be negative. So whatever is going to multiply this 6k must be negative. So I write the negative q below the 2k, so that diagonally multiplying, 6k will get multiplied by negative q and positive q will get multiplied by 2k. So we write positive q below 6k and negative q below 2k. I hope you understand the argument I'm using, keeping in mind the middle term. I need to produce a negative 4q when I multiply and add. So negative q times 6k is negative 6k cubed, added to positive 2k cubed will give me that negative 4k cubed. That's why I wrote like this. Let's go and multiply diagonally. Negative q times 6k is negative 6k cubed, and q times 2k is positive 2k cubed. Adding them together gives you negative 6k cubed plus 2k cubed is negative 4k cubed, which is the middle term. Now here actually we have taken out a common factor, and the trinomial that remains has negative 4k cubed as the middle term. Alright, the first factor therefore is 6k plus q, and the second factor is 2k minus q. Therefore, what is now the complete factorization of this? You remember we had taken out a k q to the power of 4 as the common factor. So that would be k q to the power of 4 times 6k plus q times 2k minus q is the answer there. Alright? So, factoring trinomials can actually give you some challenges. But those challenges are very good. That will sharpen your thinking. You see, the trial and error method is a very good method of figuring out the factors. Alright, let's try another one. Factor 14a squared b cubed plus 15ab to the power of 3 minus 9b cubed. What's the first step? Can you see a common factor there? If you look at the numbers 14, 15, 9, there is no common factor in the numbers. A squared, A, there is nothing in A there, so no common factors in A. Look at this. b cube, b cube, b cube. Yes, b cube is common in all the three which we pull out. So b cube is the common factor. Factoring that out, when b cube is pulled out, what is left in the first term will be 14a squared. What is left in the second term will be plus 15a. And what is left in the last term will be minus 9. That's a very simple one. Okay, we now factor this trinomial. 14a squared plus 15a minus 9. Can you factor the first term, 14a squared? How do you factor a 14a squared? Very simple. 14a squared we can factor as 7a multiplied by 2a. Alright? How do we factor the negative 9? First let's write these, 7a and 2a. Alright, negative 9 will be factored as a negative number times a positive number. Now, is there any clue there? Well, I think I have figured it out. You see, negative 9 is positive 3 times negative 3. How? Look at this. 7 times 3 is 21. 21 minus 6 is 15. You see? So, what I need is, I need to produce a positive 21. You see? Because this is positive 15. Positive 21 minus 6 is 15. Therefore, I must have this positive 3 written below the 2a and the negative 3 written below the 7a. So, you know why? Because that negative 3 needs to multiply with the 2a, giving us the negative 6a, and the positive 3 needs to multiply with 7a, giving us the positive 21a. So this will give us positive 21a minus 6a equal to 15a, the middle term. Isn't that simple enough? Alright, so multiply diagonally. 3 times 7a is 21a. Negative 3 times 2a is negative 6a. And adding them gives you 21a minus 6a is 15a, which is the middle term. That means our configuration is right. We have placed them in their proper places. We can now pick the factors vertically. What are the factors? 7a minus 3 is the first factor. And the second factor is 2a plus 3. And therefore, the whole factors are b cubed times 7a minus 3 times 2a plus 3. The more number of problems like this you work out, the more comfortable you feel in doing these kind of problems. You see, algebra requires very thorough understanding of factoring. Okay? So please spend a lot of time learning the skills of factoring trinomials and many other different types of factoring. Well, I'm going to close this lesson here. That means we did a number of review problems in factoring trinomials. And in the next lesson, we are going to see some more factoring problems. There are some special factoring formulae you must be familiar with, and I will see you for that in a little while.